Alright guys, welcome back. This is Gordon for Inspiration Insights. In this video or in this tutorial, we're gonna work on the German rocket launcher in World War II, and we're gonna work on it in 3S Max. The level of difficulty is intermediate, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So before you do anything, subscribe if you're new here and like this video if you will. And for now, let's jump right in. So here we are. This is the Panzerschreck modeling tutorial part 1, and we're gonna start with something simple, which is this cylinder, which are going to rotate 90 degrees and push it back to where it should belong, and then we're gonna extend it using the method we use all the time, which is converting to edible poly and moving these vertices to the front. And after that, we're gonna try to push these back a little bit more. And the most important thing to start with is just to follow the reference image we have, which I am included in the description down below, so you want to check this out if you want, and you want to check the comment section below, because we are include other stuff, maybe information, maybe questions that you want to we want answer for those questions. Maybe you're looking just for something to say, and you're gonna find it there maybe, and or just maybe you want to share something with us. And as you can see here, I'm trying to create a plane and follow the reference image as we did all the time in the previous parts of in the previous tutorials we created before. And as you can see here, we are using edge extrusion, and it is a very powerful method to create these kind of stuff. And we're gonna follow the reference image, and we're gonna do as it looks like, and we're gonna follow it and try to manipulate these polys and edges to achieve certain results that we are looking for. And this is super important in order to kind of get something that we're gonna happy with. Alright, and here we are, and in fact I'm gonna show you a website that is gonna give you cool reference images for weapons, especially this Panzerschreck. It has very detailed and very clear images and reference images for the Panzerschreck, and I found it really useful. And the interesting thing is the reference image that I am using right now and the reference images that you're gonna find on that website are a little bit different. So this tutorial is kind of combination. It's something in between this this reference and the real Panzerschreck. So we're gonna try to make it a little bit simpler than it looks like in real life. And yeah, this is I think that's okay. Maybe in the future we're gonna upgrade. Maybe I'm gonna do in the future kind of tutorial upgrade or weapon upgrade tutorial that is gonna cover kind of an approach to realism, and we're gonna make it a more realistic stuff. We're gonna create more realistic weapons in 3ds Max. So as you can see here, I'm trying to follow the reference image and step by step using target weld and these amazing tools that exist on the edible poly, which is the most amazing modifier that exists in 3ds Max, I believe, because it is something that I use for maybe 95% of the time to create what I want to create. Okay, now I want to create this kind of handle that we're gonna use to shoot rockets and stuff to kill people, and you don't want to do that in real life, do you? It's gonna be yeah, these things are overrated. And in World War II, these kind of things were serious back then. And I read statistics about the Panzerfaust. It actually, Panzerfaust means kind of tank fist. Panzerfaust. Panzer means tank, and Faust means fist in German. And yeah, this weapon was used heavily in World War II by Germans, and its accuracy wasn't that that high because yeah, soldier needed actually to approach their targets so much, because they only have very few shots, 1 or 2, and when you have 1 or 2 shots in the tank in front of you, you don't want to miss. And so they have to get very close to the tank and then shoot from a distance of 6 to 10 meters maximum 10 meters away from the tank to get very clear shots. And we're talking about the Panzerfaust 30, and they created Panzerfaust 50, then Panzerfaust 100, and maybe 150, and that refers to the distance necessary, or these numbers refer to the distance that the shot or the rocket um, is gonna reach. And it's very bad. The Panzerfaust is, especially the earlier versions, the shooting or the aiming is really hard to get right, because it's not really accurate. So we're gonna continue now working on the pieces that we've worked on already, and we're trying to we are advancing, as you can see. We are trying to get or to create the overall modeling of the Panzerfaust, and it is awesome so far, because I feel I like to get that feeling of what I'm trying to create is under control, and every piece I'm trying to create is locked down. And this is the most important step that we are going to do in any type of art, in any type of even in drawing. You want to lock down the overall space the drawing or the character you're gonna create is gonna take, and this is very important to give you a sense of confidence, and it's gonna prevent you from going back and deleting everything you've created and starting all over again. And this can be frustrating if it really happens. And in 3D we have much more control, but we're gonna have to do this because it's much easier to work with. So we're trying to create a cylinder right now. We're gonna create pipes along the Panzerfaust shooting system, and which is the tube that you can see here is the main tube um, that is gonna be used to shoot the shots of the rockets. And as you can see here, we're trying to use the edge extrusion method to kind of get things right. Maybe we're trying to test things out a little bit. And as you can see here, the main pipe that is gonna jump from this part to the other part is gonna connect it through all these pieces. And you need in order to see this, you've got to see the reference images that I'm gonna show you, and maybe I'm gonna leave a link in the description below, maybe, or in the comment section, I don't know. But if I forget to, just tell me, and I will do it. All right, and this is the pipe that is gonna be going all the way around the area that we're gonna continue working on later. And as you can see here, this is gonna extend all over the place. All right, we hope we're doing this right so far. And yeah, as I'm looking in this direction, I'm looking at my second monitor, and this one is the main monitor that I work on, and this one right here is my second monitor that I use to look at reference images. And in the modeling process, I don't really show you that I'm looking at reference images, but I do look at them most of the time. Maybe 30% of my time working on models is looking at reference images, because I don't want to miss stuff. I don't want to go back, and I don't want to work on a piece and I find out that I've done something critical wrong. And most of the time when this happens, you've got to go back and make major changes, and that can cost you in when it comes to time, and it can cost you emotionally as well, because I'm not really that kind of type of artist that likes to create the same piece over and over again. And yeah, I had a hard time creating these in the previous tutorials on the on inspiration tuts, the the pieces, or especially the truck, and it was um, it was really hard to create 19 part series and of something that I've created before. But I created it because I just wanted to create something just to show you how to create stuff, how to model trucks and heavy vehicles in 3ds Max, and that was the purpose of it. And we've done it, and I think we've done a pretty good job, even though it was very long. I must say. All right, we're trying to create this second kind of type of handle or something. I don't know exactly what this thing does, but it is really important. So we're gonna do it slowly, and we're gonna use the edge extrusion method, which is really effective in creating this kind of stuff. Okay, we're trying to maybe push this one up a little more and see where this fits and see where it should go. Maybe maybe we're gonna extrude this edge up there and push it up a little bit like that. Okay, somewhere like that. Okay, we're doing fine. All right, we're gonna have to apply shell modifier, because shell modifier is gonna give our model a little bit more thickness, because yeah, thickness is really important thing just to transfer from 2D to 3D. And I think the shell modifier is extremely important if you are um, in need of something that takes you from 2D to 3D quickly, instead of using the extrude modifier, because the extrude modifier is going to leave an empty space in the back side of the, for example, take a plane, apply a shell modifier on it, is going to give you thickness, is going to turn it into a box or something like that. But if you apply an extrude modifier on it, it's gonna leave the other side empty, it's kind of open space, and you don't need that effect most of the time. It's gonna be not needed. It's gonna be something that is gonna be it's gonna be something that you don't want, in short. Okay, and now here is the yeah, I like working with pipes, and I like working with pipes using edge extrusion, because it is it's interesting, because you gotta have to follow the reference image um, to kind of create these pipes that are gonna roll around another pipe. It's like a game, and you've got to get it right, because uh, there is yeah, this process is gonna put the 3D aspect of the thunder in consideration, because as we work from the front viewport, we're gonna have to also work from perspective as well, because this pipe is gonna kind of spiral around the main tube that is gonna be used to shoot the shots. And this is really important, and we're gonna do this in just a moment. As you can see here, this, I don't know what this box does here. Maybe it has some electrical stuff that makes things launch or something like that. But yeah, this is something technical, and we're not gonna dive so deep in these kind of stuff. But as we said before, now we're gonna push these vertices in the perspective viewport, and we're gonna try to and as you can see here in this area, we're gonna have to add some resolution just to make the turnaround much more smoother, and and the most important thing is we don't want our pipe to overlap with the tube, the main tube that is being used to shoot the rockets, if you will. All right, and as you can see here, we're trying to take a different look. We're gonna try to take a closer look to what we are trying to do here, and yeah, as you can see here, we're gonna have to maybe extrude stuff a little bit more in this area because as you can see, it's this area is a little bit difficult to interpret because the reference image is not gonna give us so many um, easy time. It's not gonna give us an easy time doing it because we've got to kind of work on the 3D aspect at the same time as looking at what we're trying to do and make it look perfect. And the trouble with this one is trying to fit something flat on something cylindrical, which is gonna leave an empty space, and I couldn't figure out really a way to do it. I thought of kind of adding more resolution to the box and use applying bend modifier on it, but at the end of the day the box is not gonna look flat, and the look we're not gonna get the look that we're looking for, and this is gonna be a problem if we are wanting to get a result that looks like something that matches the real Panzerfaust, let's just say. Okay, and maybe we're gonna need to push this box back later, but uh, for now we're gonna try to find the real proper place for it, and after that we're gonna do that, of course. Okay, we're gonna push this pipe in the right place like this, and do this as well. Rotate maybe, because sometimes when we change the position of the vertices that compose pipes, they are going to kind of be distorted to some extent, and we're gonna fix those, of course, if necessary. All right, and now we are trying to create the cylinder, and it is interesting because yeah, this, I don't know why they create these types of things. These things are highly technical, and I don't know what is the exact reason for doing these kind of things, but I think it has something to do with the backlash effect and the fire that is coming out of the Panzerfaust when it launches the rocket or the missile that is gonna attack the Panzer or the tank. And when they were using these kind of weapons, the Panzerfaust specifically, it's really dangerous to be even 10 meters behind the soldier that is going to use the Panzerfaust. It means if you are behind the Panzerfaust even 8 or 9 meters, it's gonna be deadly. There is possibility that the fire that is gonna come out the back end of the Panzerfaust is gonna kill you, and this is how powerful this weapon is. And you've got soldiers always had this idea in the back of their minds. They don't never stay behind the Panzerfaust no matter what, because this distance less than 10 meters is deadly. All right, and we're trying to figure out a way just to put the end of this circular selection or circle thing that we create. We're gonna try to find a way to put it somewhere. Okay, we are trying to kind of reduce the scale of this one, as you can see here. And let's try to rotate, maybe rotate it a few degrees just to make it fit. And maybe just delete and apply symmetry modifier, which is not a very bad idea in my estimation. And it's it's a problem because we're gonna make these two ends fit in the same place, which is the box that we've created previously. Okay, and we've gonna add this kind of twist and to the course action we've been taking, which is kind of making kind of this end. We're gonna make it look like it is bent at the end. And now adding these other pieces, which are awesome and really important to add a variation, and they're kind of welded. I think the Panzerfaust was not made. It was, first of all, it was not very complicated. It was simple to a certain extent, and it was not highly technical, but it was really important, and its power was deadly in the battlefield. It can tear a panzer or tank. It can tear it apart. It can destroy it if it is going to hit it directly. Alright, now applying the symmetry modifier and pushing things back in place. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. This is part 2 of the Panzerfaust modeling tutorial, and we're gonna start off with, in part 1, with the front side of the Panzerfaust, and it is an area where we're gonna use to kind of aim at the targets that we're gonna shoot at, of course. And we're gonna extract this or extrude these set of polys out of the main surface, and after that we're gonna start working on it using extrude as we always do. And it's a good idea to always put the reference image in front of you so you can work in this piece according to the reference image you have, because we're not gonna use the reference as a blueprint in this type of modeling, because we're just looking at what we need to look at, and after that we're gonna try to make it work and try to come up with something or build something that is approximately looks like the thing that we're trying to create for the most part. Okay, and it's not gonna be hard, so we're gonna do the things that we always do. Maybe make these set of vertices flat, just to because we wanna try to create a gap in there, and the best way to do it is to make all the vertices flat in this area. Not flat vertices, but flat lines that are gonna allow us to kind of create this gap with straight angles, 90 degrees angles in most cases. Okay, here it is, and maybe now we're gonna try to add more details. Maybe, let's see. Okay, now we're gonna create a hole in there, and it's just a circular selection that we're gonna delete to create a hole. And one of the most effective ways I have found is just to create a flat cylinder, and put it in there on top of the surface. And after that, use the snap toggle to snap vertices to the vertices that compose the cylinder, which is pretty flat, so we can consider it a circle most of the time. Alright, try to put it in there, and and after that we're gonna insert, of course, we're gonna insert, and and push these vertices in their places. And as we can see here, there is a missing vertex, so we've got to we've got to. I'm a little bit tired, so sorry for that. We've got to rearrange the vertices and put them in the right place. Okay, insert once again just to hold um, the structure of this circle of selection because we want it to hold tight. Okay, do the same thing here. Just extrude this area and maybe we're gonna use this surface as a starting point of creating the pieces, the piece that we're gonna use um, in the front side, of course. Okay, we're gonna extrude now. Extrude once again and make it a little bit narrower or wider depending on the size of the piece that you are creating. Maybe later on we're gonna modify it. I don't know, but yeah, this is what we need to do for the most part. And now we've got to push these lines over there just to use them as a starting point for creating that handle. Maybe this handle is used just kind of to grab the weapon and just to lift it and direct or it's a way of aiming. It's this handle is gonna help you to aim better, especially if you cannot handle the weight of the Panzerfaust. It's probably 6 kilograms or something. It's not very heavy, but yeah, when you hold something for a long period of time, even 5 kilograms is gonna be very hard to work with. Okay, we just applied the shell modifier quickly, and this is the most interesting part so far, and it is the most time-consuming area so far. So we're gonna try to make the best out of this. Okay, just as a start, we're gonna try to kind of get the right measures, and we're gonna lock down or kind of try to know where this is gonna take place. And this is really important in the start. Okay, we're gonna kind of bring these vertices together up there and do the same thing down there as well. Bring these vertices close together, and yeah, this is what we need to do for now. And maybe we're gonna start adding some details. It's all about the details. And all right, we're now trying to create this kind of empty space in there. As we can see, we've deleted it, and we're ready to jump to creating the pieces or things that are gonna be alongside it. And this is gonna be a challenge. Somehow, it's gonna challenge us. So let's see what this challenge is. In a few minutes, we're gonna walk through it, and we're gonna try to do some things to make it look as it should look like. And I believe this this is our first try. This is our first kind of attempt to make this look right. And as you can see here, I'm trying to create kind of the border that is going to cover this area. And for the most part, it's simple. But the challenge is when we try to create these kind of metal extrusion that is gonna walk through this shield and across it, and trying to make it fit with the over design. And alongside. This gap in here is gonna be a little bit challenging in terms, not in terms of the build, the model itself, but in terms of kind of making this kind of modeling look straight and look right from the points or from the eyes of the viewer in general. All right, now we are trying to target well these vertices all together, and okay, we'll apply the shell modify. But in my opinion, applying shell modify right now is really it's a really early thing to do. So we've better. I could have just deleted this part altogether and went straight to the right thing to do. But I just want to show you that I am I'm also a person who makes kind of takes wrong turns and makes mistakes. Even though I've been modeling for a long time, and you're gonna get used to it. This is the most important thing to do. Just look at what you're trying to do and do it as you see it. And if it doesn't work out, just do it again. Try it out again, and maybe you'll get it right the second time. All right, this time is we've got to move these vertices a little bit in. This is not gonna be the place where they're gonna be placed, but we're trying to make these lines straight as much as possible. All right, we're trying to certain out certain places, and as you can see, we are using constraint on edges. If you missed that, I'm using edge constraint all the time in this kind of modeling, because I want these vertices to slide across the edges. Okay, now we are trying to weld the unnecessary vertices. And as you can see, the vertices are totally out of alignment, and we're gonna make it straight. We're gonna make these vertices straight in every way possible. And the difference between a professional modeler and a beginner modeler is when things go wrong, because for most of the time, when I remember when I was starting out in the modeling process, I usually doubt myself so much, and I feel that I am doing terrible job, and I just quit. I just stop doing, and maybe just do another whole project, because I got so much frustration out of this one thing. And as you build more experience, you're gonna start to see solutions, and you're gonna start to see things in a different way, because you know you can fix those stuff, and you know that it is just a temporary obstacle that you're gonna overcome as time passes, and as you are pushing further in the modeling process. And as you can see here, I'm just trying to use I'm using a bar or a box, an extended box, that is gonna help us to get things straight. Okay, and this is in my estimation, this is very important, because it's gonna help us to kind of straighten out these vertices and get things right. All right, select everything. And we're gonna use manual selection because some of the empty spaces or the extruded parts are not going to be able to be selected because it's going to be super difficult to do. Okay, and now comes the process. We cannot use angle snap toggle because it's just hard, and we better do this manually and deactivate the constraint for now. And we want to follow the bar we set. Okay, just follow it and constrain image constraint vertices. Do it manually, if you will. This is the solution we implemented right now, and I think it's gonna take us to a good place. It's gonna help us do something. All right, keep going, keep doing this until you get something that you're satisfied with. All right, do the same thing. Rotate the bar to the other side, and they're gonna be crossed like this, and you're gonna be able to find a perfect match that is gonna allow you to end up with something that you like. Alright, we are constraining these vertices to the second bar always manually. Okay. And here's the trick. You gotta be careful when these two are gonna be in alignment. I want them to be in alignment because when they interfere with each other, we don't want to mess with the alignment we created before with the first bar. So we gotta put that always in consideration because this is really important to do to get nice results. Alright, we are pretty much done with these, and yeah, nice job. I believe we've done a nice job so far. So now the next thing to do is to let's see, maybe you've got to be a little bit careful with this. Alright, we don't need these two bars so far anymore, and as you can see here, these vertices are now straight and clean and stuff. And now it comes the time for applying the shell modifier and using the stuff that we've created. Okay, now we can select all these edges, and we can create a ring, and then we're gonna connect these edges using some of the stuff that we've been doing all along. Okay, now we're gonna push these inside a little bit like that. All right, cool. And we better always keep things straight. Because this is very important indeed. Alright, and now we are trying to create some additional pieces that are going to be included in this shield. Okay, and we got to start with a box, and we're going to convert it to a poly. After that we're going to add some detail. This is not going to be so big of a deal, just a simple thing that I don't know what is the real function of this one, but I think it is important to some extent. Alright, we only need one surface. After that, we're gonna use the method we've used all the time, which is just to use a cylinder, and after that align the vertices of the circular selection we've created to the edges of it, or to the vertices that compose the cylinder, just to help us get something straight and clean. Alright, now apply shine modifier, push it back. Like that. And yeah, now we're gonna create this piece that are gonna be able, that's gonna allow us to kind of attach this piece we created to the shield, because it needs to be attached. Alright, we're doing a pretty good job so far. Okay, apply the symmetry modifier and give it some thickness using shell modifier as well. And after that, we're gonna create another additional piece that is gonna be on top of the additional piece. Layers and layers of pieces. Okay, and let's see if this is gonna be right. So we're gonna chamfer these two and bring this edge up a little bit more, and convert the whole thing to the poly, just to help us extrude things out, or just select and extrude in. Okay, things are starting to look so good so far. And here's the trick. We've got to delete this one and add some edges here just to make things. And we're gonna weld these vertices together like this, go to the other side, and weld this vertex as well. Alright, rotate this a little bit more like that, and maybe continue doing this until you get something that feels natural, that feels that you are satisfied with, and for the most part. And rotate another one as well, and maybe scale it in, and then extrude edge extrusion. Maybe you're gonna modify the dimensions of these pieces when we work on them more and more and more, and until we get something that we like. Alright, as you can see here, when we select these pieces together and try to move them in the same time, they're gonna move in this, even though we are moving them in the same direction, they're gonna move in different directions. And the solution to this is to group them and move them. And now we are trying to bend the shield using the bend modifier, and you've got to be careful with the bend modifier. I always used to struggle with it as a beginner because I didn't know that you need to select direction sometimes, even though you choose the angle and you choose axis, for example, whether you choose X, Y, or Z, the object is not gonna be bent for some reason, because first of all, because we didn't select the direction, because sometimes you need to select direction and the direction is better be 90 degrees or 270 degrees or something like that, just a kind of corner angle. And the second thing that prevent the that modifier from working is you've got to work on an object. You're gonna bend an object that has resolution to it, an object that has so many lines and so many vertices to it. Because, for example, if you take a tube with an start with and nothing in between, it's gonna be impossible to bend. It's there's no geometry, there's no resolution, there are no lines in between that are going to make the bending process possible. It's all about the final touches. It's all about the pieces that we left over that we didn't complete. And in this part, we're gonna continue working on them to get the most out of what we intend to do. And as you can see here, this piece we're trying to recreate it because the need for most of these parts that are contained in this piece are not actually these pieces are not necessary for what we're gonna do next. So we deleted most of them initially, and as you can see here, we're trying to put this piece. Um, it's kind of a ceiling for the small window in the shield, and we're gonna create that ceiling using simple techniques, simple modeling techniques, as we always do. All right, and we're gonna modify and play with some aspects of the pieces that are contained with it, of course, just to match what we want or what we intend to create. Okay, and this Panzerfaust starts taking its shape right now, and it starts to look like something after we worked on it for a couple of I don't know, maybe a couple hours, something like that. And yeah, it takes shape as we intended to make it look like. And and this small piece is gonna be copied, is gonna be duplicated all over the place. We're gonna take it up there, and maybe we're gonna bring it back a little bit as well. Okay, maybe we're gonna bring it here as well, and we're gonna rotate because this one is gonna be rotated uh, more than maybe more than a few degrees, maybe something like that, and gonna rotate it as well in another direction to make it fit in here. All right, and now is the time to add some edges that are gonna allow us to create that empty space. Okay, using the bridge tool, of course, in 3ds Max. All right, and we're gonna move these vertices, separate them basically, and try to find a perfect place for them as a start. Okay, and as you can see here, the shield is still contains some non-straight lines in it, and this is not big of deal in terms of modeling, but as long as it's not causing us a lot of problem, we are okay with that. And now we are trying to create the area which contains most of the details, to be honest, and it contains a belt and certain pieces, and this area is gonna help to kind of hold the shield to the Panzerfaust. And this shield is really necessary because when you hold this kind of weapon, you're gonna be most likely you're gonna be defenseless, and you don't want to be like that when you are in the middle of a war, and there is a chance that you're gonna be killed in every second in there in the battlefield. All right, we need to move these vertices a little bit more like that, and maybe try to create a bridge between those. Just extend these edges and create a simple bridge. Okay, cool. We're trying now to extrude the edges a little bit and weld these vertices in there, just like that. Okay, maybe add more details here, which is gonna be a circular selection that we're gonna use to create a hole in there. And as we always do, we're gonna create a flat cylinder with 8 sides probably, and we're gonna try to just snap these vertices selection, circle selection using the cylinder, and after that we're gonna delete the cylinder and delete the circle selection from the inside. And there is another hole here, so we're gonna do the same thing, and yeah, as we always do. And I believe this technique I came up with myself, and I believe I've never seen it anywhere else, and it works well for me, so I keep using it all the time because I want to get something precise and want to get something nice. Before previously I was there are certain plugins and stuff that are gonna allow you to create circular selection, and you're gonna create holes and stuff without needing to do all these techniques and doing something that is not extremely necessary. And the Boolean modifier or the Boolean tool can do this stuff, but it's gonna leave a lot of unnecessary edges and vertices that are, or maybe it's gonna leave the mesh less cleaner than less. It's not gonna leave it as clean as we want it to be, and that's why I avoid using these kind of things. But you can get decent results if you know how to deal with them in the first place. Okay, now we are trying to expand on our work and maybe select the whole area over here and detach it. We'll just extrude it just to create something nice over there. Okay. That's cool. We are trying now to create an additional piece that is gonna hold the. It's kind of the belt principle. Just two ends, and one end is getting attached to the other, using some pieces, metal pieces in between. Okay. All right, we've got to continue working on the piece that we are working on right now, and yeah, we're gonna continue attaching these two pieces together using the symmetry modifier, and maybe we're gonna cut it somewhere at some point like this, and after that we're gonna try to create that curvy extension, the extrusion and stuff, just to create the piece that is gonna be hanging in there. and we're gonna. I love just creating other pieces out of the previous piece using extrusion, of course. I'm gonna extrude this face out of the piece that we created previously, and after that we're gonna try to kind of create the second piece we're going for, just looking at the reference image and what it implies. Okay, just just try to use the maybe symmetry modifier, I guess, and yeah, just to know where we are basically. And after that we're gonna uh, it's um it's more about looking at the proportions of the pieces and where they are gonna fit most of the time. This is what we are trying to do basically, and other things don't matter as much. Okay, maybe rotate this one a little bit, tilt it to the left side maybe a little bit. Okay, then start adding some details. Are you gonna tilt it a little bit like that, and apply symmetry modifier as we always did. Okay, apply symmetry modifier, I guess, and yeah, we're gonna create um, kind of a bridge between these two sides, and then before we do this, we must apply a shell modifier just to make sure that everything is in place as a start. Okay. Alright, convert it to poly and apply the shell modifier once again in this piece. Give it some thickness like that. Alright, there is a problem with this piece, and I don't know what exactly the problem is, but we're trying to figure it out. And these things happen, and they are kind of glitches or something like that. I don't know why, but they happen. They often, and the solution is just to don't get stuck. Don't try to burn your brain over these matters. If the piece is pretty small, you can just start over, create it. If it is complicated, you can delete the part that is fucked up and move forward. And sometimes you can apply the normal modifier. Sometimes you just have to reload the software. Sometimes there are many reasons for why these things happen, and you've gotta know how to deal with them in the first place. And you always have a choice to, and you always have an option that is going to allow you to deal with these kind of things. Okay, I just realized that the mic was very far away from me, and I hope the audio wasn't so low and or just kind of distorted, something like that. Sorry for that. I didn't notice that until now. Okay, and by the way, I have a tendency to create these little things. I love the details actually, and the more detailed um, the project I'm working on, the more excited it gets me, and the more excited I get, the more pumped I feel, and it's awesome. I'm a big fan of details because if you create something simple without details, it's not gonna be mind blowing. And I love to create something that can blow your mind. And in these videos, spending a couple hours or 6 hours, something like that, trying to create a weapon, is not a great achievement, but it's good as a start. But the real deal is a project that you're gonna spend 3 hours plus creating it, and in modeling alone, I mean, and this is gonna be something worth worth your time, and if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit and invest your time in something that is gonna push you forward, I promise you're gonna get very cool results over time. All right, we're creating these pipes. Okay, push these vertices forward a little bit. Okay, and the next thing we're gonna create is is two pieces. Two pieces are gonna be on top, and they represent these two pieces. Kind of, I don't know why they're hanging there, but they're used to probably to choose a belt or something like that. Maybe something is gonna be hanged over there. Maybe to hang the weapon itself. Maybe to use a belt to carry it over your back or over your shoulder. I don't know why, but these two pieces are being created for a reason. Even though we don't have answers, we've gotta create them because it is in the original model, and yeah, it is. It's good to create those. It feels good. Because it is adding kind of variety and something more to the model in these widespread and empty areas like the big tube that is gonna be the rocket launcher. All right, we've got to create this piece as well, as you can see here. And the most important thing we need to consider in doing this is the proportion. As you can see here, this ring is is a little bit thin, and we want things to be thicker at some point. Okay, good. All right, push it over there, and maybe we've got to let's just say push these vertices up there and try to create something logical that looks good from distance. All right, and apply a material to it, change the color maybe, and just duplicate it to the back side. And I think we're ready to go. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, and we don't necessarily have to make something that looks exactly like what we have in the reverse image, but we've got to make something that is that looks good enough. Okay. All right, we're very close to the end of the modeling tutorial of the Panzerfaust. So we're gonna create this piece that is gonna be rolling over the place, as you can see here, the tube, and we're gonna create a nice trick to do it, and we've gotta change the pivot, the position of the pivot we're gonna change to the center of the piece we want it to be rotating over. And this is a trick, and after that we're gonna work with the twist modifier and rotate it alongside it and all over it or around it for a couple of thousands of degrees. And this is gonna and the thing I wanted to see the least is um, is the flat uh, is that cylinder we created became flat once we applied the thing. So like this video if you will, and subscribe if you're new here, and maybe check some of our videos if you want to. And I hope you like this tutorial, and we're gonna do a lot more of these in the future.